You found us. I'm so glad you did, but I am sorry that you had to. Who are we? I'll tell you what we're not. We're not old, we're not boring, and we're not giving up. So come on into our Widow Circle where trauma meets humor, and we remind you that you can not only survive, but thrive. This is Every Widow Thing. Welcome to Every Widow Thing. My name is Whitney, and we've got Kira and Holly and Lacey here. We're all widows, as you well know by this point, and we are just welcoming you to the group. A lot of people don't have a group like we do, so we wanted to invite you into our conversation. We hope that we can be in some way helpful for you. And today, Holly is sharing the story of the day that Toby died.
It's going to be a heavy day. So I do remember I made dinner. I made a good dinner.
You seem very proud of yourself.
In the crock pot.
All right.
Dinner was ready because both boys had baseball that night. I was with my older son at his game, and Zach had baseball practice with 3 of his buddies. So there were 4 boys that we carpooled. And that night, Toby was like, I haven't driven in a while, because all the moms and dads, we would all tag team. And he said, I haven't driven in a while. It's my turn. So it was a little chaos. I got home from Gabe's game. I'm like, you haven't left yet? That was, I think, the last thing I said to him. So they left to go to baseball practice. And okay.
So they take off and pick up the boys. Did you have a text conversation?
We had a text conversation about spring break. We were planning something to have one of their friends come in and surprise them because we couldn't go on a spring break because Gabe had baseball. So we were texting about that.
That was during the practice? So he's at the practice. And where was that?
It was in Dripping Springs.
Okay.
So it's a club baseball team. And these boys they've been on this team together for a while. You knew the families well.
Right. Yeah, we were all close friends. It's around, I think, like 9 o'clock. And I'm like, where are they? And one of the boys had just gotten a new puppy. So I was thinking, oh, they got out to see the puppy. Just after that, my friend Lauren, whose son was in the car, called me and said, there's been an accident. You need to go to Dell. I said, how do you know? And she said her son gave her number to someone on the side of the road. And so this woman called her. A lot of people that got out of their cars and were sitting with our boys and helped them get out of the car.
So there's 4 boys in the car and Toby, is that right?
Yes.
So at this point, no parents know anything except for your children have been in an accident, go to Dell's.
Right. So I tell Gabe, he was upstairs, and we need to go to the hospital. There's been an accident. I was a little bit panicked, like, how do I get there? Even though I knew totally how to get there. And he helped me. He's like, you're going the right way, Mom.
And he's a freshman in high school?
He was a freshman in high school. He was 14. So get to the hospital, and all the parents walk in, and we're just like, well, where would they have taken Toby? They're not going to bring him to Dell. And
are you texting with him at this point?
I had called him 5,000 times, so I knew something was not right. That's why I was like, where would they have taken him? I can't remember the exact sequence of events, but Zach had not gotten there yet. He was, life flighted in. He and one of the other boys, the other 2 were by ambulance. But someone came and got me and took me into a little room in the hospital that you don't ever want to be in, and told me that he didn't survive.
So a doctor from Dell's told you this, or a friend?
It was a Dell employee.
And you're alone in this room?
No one was with me that I knew. And they asked me, is there anyone you want us to call? My friend Sally came, first one to pop into my head because I knew she would contact our pastor. And our pastor was really good friends with us, and he cycled with Toby. So he was, more than a pastor. Then she asked if I wanted to tell Gabe or if I wanted them to tell Gabe. Well, obviously, I let them tell Gabe, but me sitting next to him, that was one of the worst moments of my life. And then Zach got there, and we were in the ER, and Gabe was taken to an ER room with friends with him. And then I went to see Zach, and his face was completely bruised, and they immediately took him in to get I think it was MRI. I don't know exactly.
And he's unconscious at this point.
No, he was not unconscious. No, he wasn't unconscious. He was just scared and hurt.
In shock, probably.
Yes. So I was with Zach, but then I would be checking on Gabe. And
so you're not even processing Toby really because you're having to focus on the kids.
Yeah, I was just so worried about Zach. And he was in the middle seat in the car, which is kind of surprising because you always told that's the safest spot. He had the most injuries.
Out of the boys.
Right. So he had fractured bones in his face, broke his arm, broke his collarbone, and fractured his spine. Anyway, so we went to the intensive care eventually, and Gabe was just in the bed in there next to Zach, and my pastor was there, and he stayed the whole night. Oh, let me back up a little bit. So while we're in the ER, it's we've got to call everybody. And I was as far as calling my parents, I was you have to call my dad. You have to get a hold of my dad or Jeff. I was so adamant about that.
You thought that they would handle the news better and then be able to break it to your mom and sister.
I guess. I can't even remember. I feel like they ended up talking to my mom, but I could be wrong. And then they had to call Toby's mom. So then people start showing up. My mother-in-law got there in the middle of the night. My Pastor Paul, he talked to my mother-in-law.
So where does the mother-in-law live?
So she's an hour and a half away. She got a friend to bring her.
And at this point, does she know that Toby died, or she just knows there's been an accident?
She knew he died. So then by the next morning, everybody was there.
So in that moment, in the night when you're first there and Gabe is sleeping next to Zach, is it just the families of the kids that were in the accident?
They were all there. Two of the boys had surgery that night. And I remember after Zach got to his room, he was the only one in intensive care on that floor. All the other ones were on a different floor.
And what kind of injuries did those boys have?
One of them broke his leg. He was behind Toby. And one of them had internal injuries, from the seatbelt. So he had surgery. And of course, the one that broke his leg had surgery. And the other one that was in the front had some injuries, he got hit in the face. I believe he was left the next day from the hospital.
Because when the accident happened, Toby turned to try to miss the car. And so he got the brunt of the car. And he saved the other kids from getting the brunt.
Yeah. After Zach got to his room that night.
Okay.
But that night, after he got into his room and Gabe was they were both sleeping by that time. I went down to see the other families, the two boys that were having surgery, because I was worried about them, obviously. And I was all just
You're in shock.
Yeah.
Did Zach have surgery or no?
He did not have surgery yet.
Did he know Toby was gone? When did he know?
So the next morning, I had talked to my pastor, and I was I know he's going to ask. He was in so much shock and on pain medicine and stuff, but I was he's going to ask at some point. And my pastor said, you just have to tell him. Within an hour after that, Zach looked at me and said, where's Daddy? And I just told him. I said, do you remember the accident? And he said, yes. And said, Daddy didn't survive. So, yeah.
The worst to tell your child something like that.
So then we I was just focused on Zach, and they were doing all these, MRIs and x-rays and all these different things to figure out his back. And they were going to put him in this shell, around his body.
Like a back brace or something?
Yeah, it looked like a turtle. I think it was called a turtle. And they were okay, well, he's going to have to wear this for 3 months. And I'm no, that's not going to work. There's no way. And he was in it while we were trying to decide what we needed to do. And I believe it was a couple of days until he had the actual surgery. And it was in the middle of the night. Kira, I'm sure.
It's always in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
It's I'm where are they?
It's just the hospitals are just an
There's
interesting
no time
place.
in hospitals.
It's just a time warp.
You just keep rolling around.
Yeah.
So at this point, your parents are there.
My parents are there. My sister,
there.
brother-in-law, nephews.
And where's Gabe?
When my sister got there with her family, Gabe was with his cousin, they went home and they were together. I mean, they're like very close.
Right.
So I was grateful he was there for Gabe. And I don't know. It's like it's
a blur. So
blurry.
Zach goes into surgery so that he doesn't have to wear the turtle. Like, how
He
come
didn't-
there's no turtle?
He didn't have to wear the turtle.
Okay.
We
fought for
we
no
still have the
turtle.
turtle. We still have the turtle for memories.
Let's just bat that
you know?
with a baseball bat at this point.
I might let him do that.
Yeah.
But there's like so many friends and family there that the hospital gave us an extra room because they were tired of us, everybody
In the hallway.
being in the hallway. So Zach was in the hospital about a week. And then we were trying to figure out how to set him up in my room with me. That's when I became completely vulnerable. My friends know everything about me. They've been in my attic. They've seen my messy everything. And they like got this mattress out of the attic and set it up for Zach in my room. And so he stayed in my room for a while, as did Gabe for a bit.
When did you because with all of that going on, you can't focus on the fact that Toby's dead because you're trying to keep your other child alive and make sure that your oldest is okay. And so when did it hit you? Like, do you remember when you had a moment for yourself?
Probably the first time I came home. I mean, Zach was still in the hospital. And the first time, because my friends had been like getting all my clothes, going to my house, getting whatever I needed. And I had a friend take me home for the first time. And that's when I walked in and saw the family pictures and opened the cabinet and saw the mug that said, coffee mug with his picture on it. And I was just like, and I was by myself. I mean, my friend was there, but it obviously hits in different
Different
times.
It's 100 different
multiple
moments.
times. Yeah. Where was Toby and what happened with that?
He died on the scene. The drunk driver that hit him, I don't even think I said that before. The drunk driver that hit him.
Head on, right?
Head on.
Came into
well,
the
she
other
crossed 2 lanes to hit him.
It was dark.
It was dark.
Yeah.
And yeah, they both died on the scene. And I don't know where he was, honestly.
I don't think I realized she died because the person that hit us died as well.
Yeah.
It was a woman that hit you, right?
Yes.
Yeah. There was a man that hit us and he died.
Right.
So.
And he had been drinking at a bar, Kira, or was he drinking at home?
I know yours was a bar. The guy that hit us was sort of out raging at a friend's, or he'd had a fight with his girlfriend and then just went drinking. But we did get the blood alcohol report ultimately.
Right.
And it was very high and there were drugs involved.
I guess ultimately he ended up at a funeral home.
Right.
And I had to go. That's when I remember Zach was still in the hospital and my friend was like, tomorrow you have to go to the funeral home and make some decisions. It's going to be hard. Who do you want to go with you? So I had friends, my dad, my sister, Toby's brother. And that's when we decided he was going to be cremated. And we're sitting in a room and they're like, okay, well, which box would you like to purchase? And I said, I'm not paying to buy
It is crazy,
buy
right?
a box. I was like, Toby would be like, paid how much for a box to burn?
I know.
No.
It makes no sense to me that, Hunter was cremated, Toby was cremated. Was Frank cremated?
Mm-hmm.
But then Oliver was buried.
Yep.
So that's something that would be interesting to talk about at some point. But yeah, why in the world do I need to spend $1,000+ for a comfortable box, which by the way, they're dead.
And
They don't
it's
need
gonna
any
be burned.
comfort.
Well, they can go out
And then it's going to be burned. And then it's going to be
Well,
burned.
Well, I guess people pay a lot to be buried in. I don't know.
Yeah, but this is going to be burned.
I know.
And then you buy an urn for another $2,000 or whatever.
Well, it was like $100 for the pine box.
Yeah,
What he got.
exactly. Me too.
So
And our husbands are proud.
I don't
Yeah.
even
Really?
know. I wasn't involved, but I'll have to ask. I'm going to ask about that. I'm going to ask my sister-in-law.
I would
Yeah.
hope that everyone chooses the $100 pine box. It's going to be burned.
Yeah.
I don't get it. So you have to go to the funeral home. Your son is now recovering from surgery at this point.
yes, I believe so. I
And-
can't remember. I kind of wish I'd like kept notes or something. What happened day to day? It's just all blur.
Yeah, I don't think in the moment you're like, I should write this stuff down.
You should keep a journal.
You don't want to remember it.
I'm
You
gonna be
really
on a
don't.
podcast X
Yeah,
amount of years later.
exactly. I do want to back up for a minute because I remember when you and I met, you told me something that I look at as a blessing. The car that Toby was driving was a difficult car to get into or something.
Yeah, he had just bought a Toyota FJ Cruiser, which he always wanted, and he never got a car. He always got, like, if we got a new car, I got the car, and then he would get the old car. Didn't really matter to him, and I think it was the summer before he got it. I was like,
It was his dream car.
It made him happy.
and it's supposed, and there, I mean, like, the car flipped in the accident, and one of the guys that helped the boys get out of the car, his dad had a car like that or something, and he knew how to open it.
Right, because the back is hard to open or something.
Yeah,
It's just
because so he got him helped him get out of the back, and it had flipped. And as far as for a car that's going to flip, it was a safe car to be in, I guess.
Which is also what helped the boys survive or have, they had less injuries because of that. Didn't you also say some of the injuries to Zach's face and stuff, it was water bottles or things that were
they were
flying
coming
around?
from baseball, so they had their water bottles, baseball gear. They were eating Sonic. So it was Sonic all over the car. You got to laugh about something, I guess.
Well, commercials. I'm seeing car commercials, Sonic commercials.
Yeah. You have to find humor in it because there is an element of like, this is freaking ridiculous. It's ridiculous. What is happening? So yeah, and it's a defense mechanism. That's one of our
Hoping.
Yeah.
So my dad, my parents had come back. So the memorial was not until the end of March. The accident was March 2nd. And I remember in the hospital talking about when's the memorial going to be? When's the funeral going to be? And I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I'm good and ready.
Right. And I wanted it to be somewhere special and not like a depressing funeral. I wanted it to be a celebration of his life. So we had it at Laguna Gloria, and for a memorial, it was pretty nice. But then, so my parents had come back for that, and my dad had been sick with cancer for 6 years, and he had a hard time. Like, he wasn't feeling at his best when all this happened just because of his health. And he, obviously had a hard time seeing me losing Toby. And they left after the memorial. And when I hugged him, I knew that would be the last time I saw him. And he died 2 months after Toby died. That was...
Wow. That's really hard.
Yeah. Because you were very close to your dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my story.
I know, man. It's heavy.
I found myself holding my breath.
I know.
while
I'm
you were
holding my
talking.
hands. I've been squeezing
I'm like
my
sweating.
hands.
It's hot in
It's
here.
emotional.
But it's also like when you were struggling to like keep up with the timeline, it's because it happens so fast. People don't realize there's not time. All of ours were sudden death. I mean, it was so fast that less than 12 hours in my case. But still, there's not enough time to wrap your head around what just happened back there.
Well, I just wanted to say one more thing about the people that helped the boys. They came to the hospital, or one of the girls came to the hospital and brought stuff for the boys. And somehow all the other moms, their kids were in the accident, found the names of all these people, and we kept in touch with them. And we took them out. We had a little get together just to thank them for being there for our kids when we couldn't be there. Like, and they didn't know what happened. Like, they didn't know they were going to be okay. And they were all young, like probably in their 20s, and they got out of their car. It was interesting because one of the guys said there were people standing there filming and they were all helping. It's like,
they took action where other people just pulled out their phones.
yeah. One of the guys I've kept in touch with on Facebook, and he took the boys out on his boat.
Oh, we need to get to know him better. Does he still have that boat?
He owns a party, like it's a party barge company.
Oh my God.
Okay.
All right.
Where have you been hiding this guy?
Okay,
All
I'll
right.
connect back with, his name's Brian.
Brian with the party barge.
Okay.
No coincidences.
shout
We
out
need
to
party
Brian.
barges. We're widows. We need to get out there and like,
As much barging.
yeah, some
Hey,
good times.
maybe we can get a sponsor out of this. I'm kidding. I'm
Maybe
kidding.
so. Well, thank
Every
you
Widow
for
Thing,
sharing.
sponsored by Party Bar.
That wouldn't be weird at all.
Not at all strange.
You know who likes to party? Widows.
Yeah.
And just fast forward, your boys are good.
Good. They're 17 and 20 now, junior in high school, junior in college.
One's playing, Zach's still playing baseball.
Zach is still playing baseball.
And Gabe is killing it in college,
Yeah.
making great grades, and everybody's doing well.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I think that's good to hear, because I know we all wondered when we first started this grief journey, oh my gosh, we can survive this, but what is it going to do to the kids? How are our kids going to survive this? And all our kids, now look, we all got our issues with the teenagers, but they aren't damaged like we thought they might be damaged.
They're
I was just
definitely-
telling Kira earlier, we were talking about our boys, and I think in some ways, because it was so difficult in their childhood, that I think they have a much more appreciation for life.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's some things that are good that come of it. I try to look at those kind of things because I thought, oh my gosh, my kid's not going to be well for the rest of his life. He's going to miss his dad. And there are a lot of things that come out of it that are pretty cool. He says he's more empathetic as a result of it.
Exactly.
That's not a bad thing to come out of it.
No.
If there has to be something, at least there's something good.
very resilient.
Yes.
We are always available to you through Instagram. You can go there at Every Widow Thing. There's going to be content, inspiration there. So please find us and like us. And if you have any questions, DM us, because we would love to help you in that way as well. Every Widow Thing.